Hey, at MiWilderness. Just come out today to basically just take a hike and practice making fire. I'm gonna try and do a bow drill today using materials from the olive bush. And I might try a couple other things too. But I'm just gonna grab up a few of these berries to munch on before I get headed out. These are kind of good energy food. In this particular bush, the berries are really sweet. They're not tart, so get me some of those. And I think I'm gonna grab up some of this dry grass for tinder, to make a tinder nest too, because the spot I'm going to is all hardwoods, and I could probably get some cedar bark and make a nest, but this dry grass is pretty much a pre-made tinder nest to make my job a lot easier. I don't want to struggle with the actual building of the fire once I get the ember from the bow drill, if I do, so that's pretty much that. I've been wearing the camouflage clothing lately. It's not like I'm an extreme survivalist or anything. It's just these clothes happen to keep the bugs away and keep the stick tights and burrs from sticking to my clothing, so that's kind of what I wear when I'm out in the fields, especially this time of year. Otherwise you get covered in those stick tights and they're really hard to get off a pair of blue jeans. I'm gonna head on down to this other bush. I think the berries are bigger and hopefully they're more abundant. And that's kind of what this is all about. My whole channel, you know, is just getting out and identifying resources and finding multiple uses for the same resource, such as the autumn olive bush. And that's kind of my whole philosophy in life as well, you know, doing more with less. I try not to waste money and stuff like that. And being able to get out in the woods and gather wild edibles and stuff just kind of complements that lifestyle, you know. If I can get out and harvest wild fruits and stuff and make jams and jellies or fruit leather or what have you, that's one less thing I gotta buy when I'm in the store. If I get a nice deer or two, then I have a bunch of good healthy venison instead of buying store-bought beef, which can be very expensive these days, at least around here. Well, this isn't the bush. One thing I've noticed though is all the berries in this field seem really sweet. And there's a field about a half mile from here and all the berries are quite tart. I'm not really sure what affects that. I've had people say it's the type of sunlight they get. I'm not 100% sure that's the case. I think maybe it just depends on the bush. Maybe there was a nice sweet autumn olive bush to begin with in this area and the birds have spread that one bush's seeds all over this whole field. I don't know. But I'm gonna get on over to that autumn olive bush that has a lot more fruit on it. Make my picking a little easier. I'm not looking to get a whole bunch today. I just want to get a few to munch on once I get out and get set up. I think this is it. Oh yeah. Yeah, this one's not completely loaded, but the berries are much more ripe and they're a little fatter and rounder. They got more juice in them. And they're nice and sweet. So I'm going to collect some of these berries up and get me some dry grass for a tinder nest, and I'll meet you over in the woods. Give another go at this bow drill fire. I tried it last winter, and now that it's August of the next year, I think my arms and hands have finally recovered from my last attempt. So we'll give it another go and see what happens. Cool. This tree's got some nice pine pitch on it. Right there. And there's a bunch on the other side too. I'm gonna grab some of that up. Alright, well, I'm somewhat away from the busy road now, so I can hear myself think, if not for the strong winds today. But I grabbed up some of that pine pitch. It was nice and soft, sticky. So I just wrapped it up in this grass. That way I can just shove it in my pocket and I don't get it all over me. I didn't have anything else to put it in. But I'm gonna head on over, try and get a fire going with the old bow drill. It's real windy today, so I gotta be careful. But we've had a whole bunch of rain, so the woods is good and wet. I'm actually thinking about getting some of these cattails and seeing about making a cattail mat or something. I don't really know much about that though, so probably leave that for some other day. This is a plant that I'm interested in right here. I'm not sure if these are Jerusalem artichokes or not. The bees sure love them. The flowers aren't very big. Sometimes I find them a little bigger than that. The stem has fine hairs on it, and the stems on these ones almost has kind of a reddish, brownish look to it. The leaves feel rough, like they've got fine hairs on them as well, possibly. Not sure if that's Jerusalem artichoke or not. I find so many flowers in the aster family, I have a hard time determining which is which. But I'm gonna get out of here. I'm actually not gonna go this way. I don't know what happened here, but these stick tights have just completely taken over this trail, and I'm not going through that again. I'm gonna go around. I decided to avoid those stick tights and cut through this small little section of swamp here. That's where the deer usually go. And sure enough, there's all kinds of fresh tracks. And a nice fresh rub on this little sapling. Probably from a little buck. Probably a small buck by the looks of it. Kind of neat. Well, I don't know if you've seen my elderberry videos a few weeks back, but this is the bush that I showed in the video that was chock full of American elderberries, and it's been stripped clean now. I guess those birds ain't too picky when the picking gets slim, because they went through it and picked every single berry off, except for a few that look like they got old and dried up. I was kind of curious how long those would last on the bush. I guess not very long. Well, I still don't know what these berries are, but the birds don't seem to care for them because they're still fully loaded. And some of them are starting to dry up. I'd like to find out what those are and find out if they're edible. Since the birds aren't eating them, it makes me think they might not be the sweetest berry if they are edible. Well, here's a Russian olive, or autumn olive, I mean. Gather up some of this dead wood and see if I can make all the components for a bow drill fire out of this one tree. I think it might work good, but there's only one way to find out, and that's to try it. Well, I got my bow drill materials. I don't have a socket, but I may be able to make a socket out of that notch right there. We'll see. But I also found a whole bunch of soapwort, or bouncing bet, as it's sometimes called. This stuff makes pretty good soap, and I plan on cooking me a little food, and it's kind of greasy, so I'm gonna grab some of this and see how it works for cleaning out a somewhat greasy pot. But it has a fairly distinct flower. And it has these parallel veined leaves that are opposite one another. It's pretty easy to recognize once you know what it is. And it does make a really good soap. I posted a video about some soap I made with it, and it actually works really good for washing your hands or washing your hair or whatever. Well, this is it. Kind of sheltered from the wind here. The swamp's down there, and the wind is just kind of swirling around. I don't know if it's because of that Hurricane Earl or what, but it doesn't really seem to be picking any particular direction. But at least here, coming up the hill, the wind is somewhat coming up this hill, so it's kind of channeling. I can set up right here in the center and be out of the wind and relaxed and have time to practice my bow drill. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up and get to it.